Thank you, Commissioner. Now, I was interested in, we were talking about the power lines, and I was a supervisor up in the town of Brighton, Franklin County, which was Senator Little's district, and I had the privilege of living through the ice storm.
I remember.
And now I'm the representative from Long Island, and I get to live through Sandy. Most of the problems that I've seen is our antiquated electrical lines, where they're above ground, we have poles that are snapping, and that's what brought most of the power down. Now, I'm glad you touched upon the cost of burying the power lines. What I wanted to ask you was, do we have money that we're getting from FEMA set aside for mitigation plans for our electrical system?
We do, and those plans are being worked on as we speak. Part of what FEMA requires for hazard mitigation is a cost-benefit analysis. So that's being worked on as well, and the governor made it very clear that we probably can't bury every power line, but we've got to look at those that are critical and figure out where to bury and how to bury, because we do know that the ones, as I said, going from the pole to the house, you can't bury all of those. The cost would be prohibitive.
Well, let me ask you a question.
All right.
After 9/11, they wanted to hire more police officers. And what they did is they took some of the funds, they set it aside, and when municipalities did hire more police officers, they were reimbursed for their salaries and their benefits. Has there been any thought of putting a fund aside, reaching out to the counties, the towns, and the villages, and seeing if we can get those municipalities engaged to work with the electric companies in order to give us a two-man crew with a backhoe? Let them work along with the utility companies. And what we can do is reimburse them for their salaries, reimburse them for their benefits, and reimburse them for the use of the backhoe. That might make it cost effective. And besides that, in an environment when a lot of the counties, the towns, and the villages are actually laying off people, instead of bidding it out and winding up with an out-of-state contractor coming in here and creating out-of-state jobs, this would actually keep people employed right here in New York. You know, it's not something that's going to happen overnight, but understand, we have problems with electricity throughout the entire state, whether it's flooding, whether it's high winds, whether it's ice, and this is a way to engage the entire state right away and actually, you know, start working on this problem right now.
If I could get back to you on that, I'll give you an update as these mitigation plans are being worked on, and I'll get back to you with a briefing.
Well, hopefully you'll take a look at something like that. The other question I have is with my barrier beaches, Fire Island.
Right.
There was a report the other day that they don't have enough sand to fill in some of the breaches.
Yes.
Okay. Has your office explored, there's this technology called beach reclamation, and what it is it's actually a membrane that you put out in the water, and as the waves come over, this membrane catches the sand and actually builds up the beach naturally. May actually be a cheaper way of doing it, but if you go on the internet, you put in beach reclamation.
We, first of all, we paid a lot of attention to Fire Island because during the storm we had a breach that caused additional flooding on Long Island. The Army Corps of Engineers put in these temporary cubes that they use to keep water from flowing through the breach. We have people out there literally as we speak working with the community and with the Corps of Engineers, and state DEC is very involved with us on that. They've actually got the lead. We have been told that sand availability is a problem. But we are moving very aggressively to take the beaches and, first of all, figure out how to ensure that there's flood prevention there, and secondly, to make the beaches usable for this summer. And we know a lot of the communities depend on those beaches for the community livelihood. And so we're moving as aggressively as we can, but we are also have to go along with the environmental regulations, and the Army Corps has to be intimately involved with DEC on this. But we are very aware. There's a meeting tomorrow on beach reclamation down at the Federal Plaza in Manhattan with the Corps, my staff, and DEC, and Parks.
Right. Well, we're also getting further and expanded flooding on the mainland because of these breaches.
I hear you. You're right.
So, I mean, this is a real problem. And, you know, all I'm doing is suggesting this is something that's out there. I don't know if you looked at it, all right, but it may be a solution to help build some of this up in the future.
I will, when I get back, ask the folks from DEC about this membrane that you're discussing. We have looked at several temporary and long-term solutions for attenuating the wave action that destroys a lot of these beaches. I'll find out whether they have looked at the membrane or not, and the Army Corps and DEC might already know about it.
Thank you very much.